Let me tell you about a very high conviction from me, Mercado Libre, ticker MELI. They are the leading e-commerce and tech platform in Latin America, providing a marketplace, payments, logistics, credit, and advertising. It's kind of like the Latin America version of Amazon. There's bits of like PayPal, there's bits of eBay. There's all these different things wrapped into this one incredible self-reinforcing ecosystem in in its main markets of like Brazil, Argentina, Mexico, Uruguay. So it's rooted in e-commerce, but it's got a fintech arm, Mercado Pago, and that's become like the real engine of growth and profitability in the last couple of years. It's also using that profitability to, a bit like Amazon, invest in its logistics network. And Mercado Envios, which is what they call the logistics, is now like a really serious competitive advantage in its home markets. About It's not like Amazon where you get something like 5 hours after you ordered it, but given the maturity of like what logistics used to look like in these markets, it's pretty incredible the journey that they've been on. So now 82% of all GMV, like merchandise volume, was delivered within 48 hours. And that's like a really significant moat against other folk trying to come in. That they do compete with C Limited and they do compete with Amazon in some of the markets. But MELI have kind of got this stuff sewn up. They're doing the best job there. This is a really high conviction rating from me. 9 out of 10 badgers, only subordinate to the 10 out of 10 I gave to Alphabet and Amazon. And it's now pivoted to generating net income, and that's growing steadily. So it's like the financials are maturing really nicely. And management, unlike C Limited, which really bit investors a couple of years ago, management of MELI have really got the balance of aggressive expansion, particularly in the credit portfolio, with disciplined risk management. They're growing fast, but in a really well planned way. They're not over expanding in the way that C did. And if they can maintain that operational excellence in logistics and leverage their data advantage in fintech, I really think this one's going to compound value for a long time for shareholders.
Boy, I love this company. To me, it's like the best company that most US investors have never heard of. And yet it's kind of like the second coming of Amazon, just in their own South American, Latin American playground, right? In fact, let me pose this question to you, Badge. Yesterday, because your rating for Amazon was a 10 out of 10, I put it on my to-do list, acquire Amazon shares. But my reluctance is the law of large numbers, and it kind of this feeling, well, okay, it's already whatever 2 trillion. Why wouldn't I be, as an investor, better off buying shares of Mercado Libre, which obviously is at a younger stage, has still more room to grow. They're world class, and yet you have them at 9 badgers rather than 10. So why should I buy Amazon before buying Mercado Libre?
Maybe you shouldn't, right? It's all personal preference. I know you're averse to like these, even the word mega cap shouldn't apply to these companies. It's like, they're like, I don't know, like ultra mega, super mega caps, right? And I tried to make an argument yesterday for how there's still like a ton of growth left in the Amazon story. Well, the Amazon story is a global story. The Mercado Libre story is a Latin American story. So, but there's still like e-commerce penetration in most of these markets is still relatively low. Like a lot of commerce is like bricks and mortar style commerce. So they've got like decades of growth ahead of them. I'm not saying like their growth is limited, but the ultimate opportunity, I feel like Amazon, like they've got AWS, right? And Amazon earn most of their profits from AWS. Mercado Libre don't really have a competitive product with that. Like if they had anything that wasn't the e-commerce side, it would be the fintech side. And there are risks around the fintech side. Like they've aggressively built out their credit portfolio, and that's working pretty well. And they're trying to come like up market a little bit with the loans that they're giving their retailers and also their end customers. But you have got like credit risk. Like if the economics in some of these countries fell apart, or hyperinflation we've had in Argentina for quite a long time. They're actually getting a really good grip on that now. If the cost of living gets worse for people in this region, like the credit portfolio could fall apart. It could get away from Mercado Libre. Like there's a big risk there, and that's just not a risk that Amazon run. So in my mind, like they're similar, but they're different, very different companies. There's not much in it between like 9 badgers and 10 badgers.
Okay. Follow up question. What's going on with Mexico? Who's doing the best e-commerce stuff in Mexico? Is that Mercado Libre's territory, or is that Amazon's, or is it neither?
I don't know. I'd need to go and do a bit of research. Amazon are in Mexico. Mercado Libre, I think, are dominant. C Limited are mostly a Brazil story.
Yeah, see what even that even when I think of C Limited trying to encroach in Latin America, that just seems so foolish to me, given how it does seem like a kind of winner takes all business model because manufacturing scale leads to better customer value, leads to more loyalty, and so on and so forth. So it's surprising to me that I don't know the answer to what's going on in Mexico, given that both they could.
I did a quick Google foo, so I think I was pretty on the money with my hand wavy thing just now. So Amazon are dominant in Mexico, but Mercado Libre are making some big investments. And I do remember seeing some news over a year ago that Mercado Libre had built distribution centers in, I think in like, I don't know my US geography, but like, is it Texas or New Mexico? Like the bits of the states that kind of border with actual Mexico. So they're building distribution centers there because the idea is it's like getting US goods and having then linking it up with MELI Air. They've got their own airlines and things, and they'll be able to get like US North American goods into Latin America in a lower cost, more efficient manner. So that again plays into like the logistics advantage they're building. But Amazon are a serious player in that market, possibly bigger.
That's an interesting story to keep an eye on. I'm curious to how it will unfold, and also to say that this story is still, in many ways, day one, as they like to say over at Amazon. Right? Lots of parts of the world that still don't have access to high quality e-commerce provided by Melly. Cool. So 9 badgers, yeah. Okay. It's a lot of badgers.